My belly looks like a syphilitic ball sack. This video is sponsored by Matt Denman, who has asked me to look into a little further than I already have the issue of loose skin. So I'm going to read his message and try and answer it. I've been researching it a bit. I'm not by any means an expert at this because I do have some issues myself to deal with, but I will kind of mention some of the things that I've noticed in my own journey and things I've seen other motherfuckers do, and things that I've heard lectures on, and things I've noticed because I watch a lot of kind of results videos and people who lose weight, keep it off, and how they were able to minimize or reduce their loose skin. Now, as you know, my patrons, particularly producers and on up, get a say in some of the content for future videos, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this video. And I want to thank all my patrons, not just Matt Denman, but any of the patrons that have helped try and get me off the ground to be a full-time YouTuber, and which would allow me to do the kind of shit that I'm about to do, which is delve deeper into particular specific topics, that they request. So anyways, on to his message to me. One thing you might think about doing a video about is loose skin. I'm getting more of it as I get to lower weights. I'm trying to get about 150 and am fasting along the way. I've tried to do research about fasting and loose skin, but find nothing. If fasting is supposed to use unneeded parts of your body, first with autolysis, which I'm not sure what autolysis is. I know autophagy is the process of cells basically eating themselves to provide amino acids, but I assume that would apply to skin just as much as muscle. Anyway, autophagy, wouldn't it eat up your excess skin? And that's a question. I don't mean to sound creepy, but I did do some research on concentration camp survivors, and I could never find one photo that had loose skin. Now let me stop right there. Ansel Keys did the Minnesota Starvation experiment. He's also the motherfucker that gave us the standard American low fucking fat, high carb diet that damn near killed us, but I'll try not to judge him too harshly. Now, the study that he did in the Minnesota starvation experiment was highly fucking unethical. It was basically they took conscientious objectors from World War II and said, well, you can serve your country by starving damn near to death for us, and we'll just write some shit down while you're doing it. Some things to be noted about that study are they weren't targeting obese. These were military recruits that were able to be in the military. So there wasn't any obese people that they were starving. They were of normal body weight. So they probably were a lot slenderer than we are today because their diet, it wasn't as fucked up during World War II as ours is today. We didn't have nearly the amount of processed foods and sugars that we've crammed into our fat asses. So there weren't a whole lot of heavily obese people. That's number one for that experiment. However, there would still be a little bit of loose skin issue, you would think, from even going from a normal-ish BMI or even maybe slightly overweight BMI, which could happen for some of them, all the way down to starvation mode, which is when you run out of body fat and your body starts catabolizing itself, including muscle, tissue, and eventually the vital organs, and kills you. That's what starvation is when you run out of body fat to sustain your daily energy, you really start to fucking break down. But you're right, there were no loose skin issues. The rumblings I've come across on the subject usually entail longer fasts, adequate hydration, and all kinds of pounding the fuck master. You're going to the gym to help work on the loose skin issue. Now, I've also seen cases where the motherfucker was in the gym all the time and he had gains and loose skin hanging off of his gains that pretty much negated the aesthetic pleasingness of the gains. He was definitely healthy at that point, but he had loose skin. It was, it's not pretty to look at. Loose skin sucks. And I have a little bit of it. Thankfully, I don't have a shit ton of it. But I have noticed over the past 2 years of doing intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet that my loose skin has greatly declined. And I do believe as long as I continue to do an experiment with longer fasts, that I will whittle away. So basically the factors, I completely didn't finish your fucking message because I went off on this tangent. But I do believe the factors that, first, how much loose skin. If you have fuck tons of loose skin, it's going to take you an obscenely long amount of time to lose it, even if you're doing 30 to 40 day fasts here and there. So there's that factor. The other factor is age, how well hydrated you are, how much you've taken care of your skin over the years, and how much elasticity it has retained. My skin's been used and abused. It's been out in the sun. It's been fucking, I by no means have great skin. So I know I'm always going to have some loose skin. But that shouldn't stop you from wanting to reach your goal. You shouldn't say, I'm going to be fat because I hate the loose skin. It looks like fucking elephant balls hanging off of me and I don't like it. It's not just about looks. It's about health. And, trying to go for a 100% aesthetically pleasing look versus healthy fat levels and healthy weight levels, particularly around your liver. I understand it's a trade-off. Some people do want to look great even at the expense of their health. So other ways that you can deal with loose skin is obviously go build some muscle. Go to the gym, bulk and cut cycles, that kind of stuff, and fill it up with muscle. That only goes so far. If you were morbidly obese and you've lost weight all the way down to normal BMI, no matter how much you go to the gym, you're not going to fill out the amount of loose skin you have. So it comes down to trying to fast off basically as much as you have the body fat to support. And you can continue to work it back and forth. I think once you get down to normal body weight, you could regain enough fat to sustain a 30-day fast and then lose the fat again by doing the 30-day fast. And in the process, your body still needs protein and will break down tissues it thinks it doesn't need. I.e., if you're not using your muscles, it does break that down too. So you should do some form of resistance training to retain your muscles during a really long fast because your body's looking for shit it doesn't need. And if you're laying in bed all the time, like some of these fasting places try to preach, you're going to lose muscle in addition to fat. You're going to look thin as a bone, thin as a rail. And if that's the look you're going for, that's fine. I'm kind of in that realm. I really don't give a shit if I lose some gains. If it gets too bad, I'll just build some muscle. And I know I just say that casually like it's fucking easy, but in order to treat the loose skin, you need to do regular intervals of longer fasts because autophagy is the only way I know of, aside from going and getting put under the knife, that can greatly reduce skin. That's all I've come across in my research. And it's different for different people. Some people their skin is very healthy, very elastic, and maybe they still have their youth. Maybe they just bounce back quickly. Maybe they weren't that obese to begin with. And those people tend to be fortunate enough to their skin sucks right the fuck in as they lose their weight. The other issue that I feel can create more loose skin as necessary is if you're losing weight too fast. If you're dropping 50, 60, 70 pounds in a matter of months, that is not enough time for your body to adjust. And you will have a lot of loose skin. Now, my weight loss has been very gradual. I'm like 62, 63 pounds over almost 2.5 years. And that is what it should be. Your initial weight loss is going to be speedy, but when it starts to level off, it will take you a long time to make progress. And I'm making fucking progress, all right? I was 190 this morning. I am almost 46 hours into my 5-day fast. That's right. I'm doing a 5-day motherfucking fast right now. Because I want to experiment with some longer fasts and see if I move the needle to normal BMI, which would be 187 pounds for me or lower. 37.25 inches around my belly, for those of you keeping track. But anyways, I do have loose skin, and I feel if I go down into the lower 180s that I will have loose skin in the belly area. And there is some already there, but it'll probably become more pronounced as I reduce the belly fat area. But we'll see, And if that happens, I won't be like, well, I might as well get fat because I don't like the way that... No. I will try and maintain my weight loss, but try and do some fasting to reduce the loose skin as much as possible. And it may take years. It may take 5, 6, 7 years. Loose skin doesn't go away nearly as fast as fat. All right? Fat you can get rid of pretty quick. Loose skin can take years to whittle away at. From my own experience, I've noticed that, when a woman's pregnant, she has the loose skin action afterwards, and it does bounce back, and it does take a lot of time. Might take some gym activity, might take some, toning and other various things to burn off the fat and let the skin rebound. And like I said, it's different from everyone, and that's probably why there's not a whole lot of successful research in this department. A lot of, what you see out there is anecdotal at this point. There hasn't been any, to my knowledge, scientific studies on loose skin. That'd be nice because it is an issue. People lose weight all the time and they got shit tons of loose skin. So let's figure out how to treat that, naturally, not with fucking drugs and surgery. Now, everyone knows that if you have shit tons of loose skin, you can go to the doctor and be like, can you get rid of this shit? Can you take off of, all of this excess ball sack hanging off of my belly, or, these tit leftovers that are hanging off my pecs? These are things that we already know we can do medically, but to do it naturally is another ball game. To just rebound, I really do believe it is a combination of longer fasts, good skincare. There are, lots of tips out there on things that you can apply to your skin to help make it more elastic, to help make it rebound. I don't know that I necessarily have seen any of those proven, but, I have been taking a look anecdotally at a bunch of people that have lost a shit ton of weight with intermittent fasting and have very little loose skin. Some are younger, some have filled up with muscle, which will help pull things tight. Like if you build a fuck ton of muscle, it will tighten your skin, and allow you to have less loose skin. You might not get rid of all of it, but you'll tighten up in a lot of areas, so you'll be able to hide it really well. And I don't know if that's if it's worth it to you. That's not an easy route either. In order to bodybuild, you have to dedicate an inordinate amount of your time to going to the gym, lifting weights, eating the proper nutrition to grow your muscle, and also fasting enough to reduce your body fat in the process. And it's a balancing act. It's not something that's easy. It's why you don't see me in the gym pounding the fuckmaster or lifting up shit all the time. Because A, I don't have fucking time. I'm lucky I have time to make videos. And B, I have so many other things I want to do with my time that I feel spending it in the gym would be detrimental to. Plus, I'm 41. I'm single and not looking. So really don't give a fuck about gains right now. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll be 50 and decide to do gains, which would probably be a shitty time to do it. But it's been my experience that gains are a younger man's game. 20s and 30s, they probably are all about the gains. Late 30s, early 40s, you probably go on with your life, and move away from the gains and just kind of maintain, whereas the 20 to 30 age group seems hyper-focused on it. So there's that. And you got to understand, as we age, loose skin probably don't matter as much. As you get older, in your 50s, do you really care if you had a little pooch hanging off? I mean, what are you trying to model for, Trying to be the sexiest 50-year-old in the fucking planet? No. I'm in my 40s. I don't have much loose skin. I have it in some areas. It does bother me a little that, it's not pretty to look at. But at the same time, I don't give a shit. So let me continue with Matt's letter and make sure I answered everything here. It can't be that everyone who survived wasn't fat beforehand. Sorry. There must have been really overweight people who were forced into these camps and survived coming out super skinny. Once again, that study was on normal sized people. They did not have any obese candidates in that because they were all military recruits that decided to object. And not to mention, there wasn't a huge obesity epidemic in those days. There were obese people, but they were a lot more rare then than they are now. So basically, it was people that could have gone over that didn't. And in which case, if you know anything about militaries in processing, which I'm not familiar with what it was during World War II, they're probably a lot more liberal, I guess, with it. But they weren't fat like we are by any stretch. And they probably were in the 15 to 20% at the most, 20% body fat. And I can tell you right now, 20% pretty fucking... I'd be happy if I was 20%, because I wouldn't have the gut that I still have around the liver. And my weight would be probably normal BMI at 20% body fat. And I would look average, I kind of look average now, but I'm still trying to get rid of that fucking fatty liver. Which, I know. Quit drinking and eating sugar, dickhead. Maybe that fucking thing will go away. Well, I know. But I like sugar and I like alcohol. And I like having fun. So, it's bad. I know. I'm trading some years of my life for that. But, what the fuck? I don't even know if you could do a video discussing that aspect without drawing tons of negative responses for it, but for someone in my shoes, it appears to be only avenue for more data. Overall, there is absolute no discussion of this on the internet that I can find. What are your thoughts about that? My thoughts about the fact that it's not discussed are exactly kind of what I was saying earlier, that it's anecdotal, a lot of the information. Some of the more experienced fasting gurus, like Lauren Laughlin comes to mind, they have their theories on things, but I found that some of their, ideas of how the body works are a little bit off from the research I've come across, from the more scientific lectures I've watched and, listened to and read. But at the same time, this motherfucker's watched thousands of people do long fasts. And his take on it was basically that it has to do with hydration, has to do with skin elasticity, age, and everybody is a little different. And that's probably why you're not seeing a lot of discussion on it, is everybody's a little different. I've also seen, like I said, both anecdotal people that lost shit tons of weight. Some of them doing it the old-fashioned way, pounding the fuckmaster all the time and eating low calorie, which we all know how that can fucking rebound when you stop either one of those activities. But it worked for them, but they had fuck tons of loose skin, and they weren't really giving their body the chance to burn it off, because that only happens in autophagy. Now, autophagy only happens anywhere between 48 and 72 hours is when it kind of starts to kick off. And then probably 5 to 7 days before you're deep into it, enough to where it's starting to clean house a lot. And the longer your fast goes, the deeper, your body gets broken down as far as, the different damaged tissues. It spends a great deal of time cleaning out your intestinal tract to get any nutrition it can get. And then it really shifts focus to breaking down, tissues for amino acids. And it uses what it thinks. Your body's not dumb. It uses the shit that's fucked up before it uses the shit that's not. And at some point, you switch into a more optimal burning fat burning mode, which is probably around day 4 or 5, to where you're not breaking down as much lean tissue. You kind of become more protein sparing. But you've already broke down the worst of the worst at that point, and the longer you go, the more work gets done. As far as how that affects loose skin, I do believe it would take multiple long fasts. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a fucking expert in shit. I'm just an asshole. But that is what if I had shit tons of loose skin, I would be doing probably 30-day to 40-day fasts if I had the body fat to support it. Well, how much fat is that, dickhead? Well, you figure about 3,200 calories of fat per day. Of fat is a pound of body fat. So however many pounds you're overweight times, 3,500, somewhere in there, will give you a rough guesstimate on how many days of fasting you can do before you start running so low on body fat that you are in starvation mode. And starvation mode is what we do not want when fasting. We do not want to be the fucking Minnesota starvation experiment here. When you are fasting for fat loss, it's because you have fat. If you have no fat, you should not and do not do longer fasts. If you're thin and you want to do longer 30 to 40 day fasts, you better pound on some fucking fat before you start. Otherwise, you are going to eat essential muscles, essential tissues. So don't get bone thin and then think you're going to work on the loose skin problem. Work on it as you go while you have the fat stores to maintain your health and your wellness for a longer fast. Otherwise, just keep doing the shorter intermittent fasts and you'll plink away at it very slowly over time. And that's probably the best advice I could give at this point. I am going to keep my ear to the ground on the issue of people that have overcome their loose skin issues. And if you are watching this and you've had loose skin issues and overcome them, go ahead and put in the comments, how have you reduced your loose skin? Or if you have failed to reduce your loose skin, or if you don't even give a fuck about loose skin. Go ahead and put it in the comments, and we can keep this discussion about this issue going. So, I hope that helped, Matt. I will continue to look into this along with some of my other videos. My plans for this week, I am very busy still editing photos. I just did another yoga studio shoot that I have to work on. But I am working more YouTube into the cycle thanks to my sponsors at patreon.com/Scott the Truck Driver. The link will be in the description. They are getting a weekly audio podcast with that. So if you're interested in having more content, that's only a $5 a month or greater contribution, and that you get the podcast. Every little bit helps, and the $2,000 a month goal is where I get a website and where I do this at least 40 hours a week, and everything else kind of starts to take a back seat to YouTube. As of now, right now, I'm doing whatever I can to make motherfucking money, all right, because I need to survive, and I think I'm doing so. So we're doing all right. So far so good. If we stayed right where we're at, we would probably be fine, but you'd have about this level of content per week. So the more I can rely on YouTube to support me, the more videos, research, live shows, which I did like the live show. There's going to be more live shows. I don't know when the next one will be yet. I have to block out some time for it. More podcasts. Maybe even work out a podcast that's that I can put out for everybody instead of just the patrons, separately from their personal podcast. And that's pretty much where we're at. So now I want to take a moment to thank my producers and sponsors on Patreon. These are people that donate $20 a month or more to become a producer of the show. And we have Dave and MSP. Thank you very much for your support. Of course, I already mentioned Matt Denman is our sponsor. He's straight up went for the $50 route, so he's pretty much the number one fucking guy when it comes to custom content, and he has probably a pretty strong say in what we're doing here. And so far he's been really awesome with the questions, with what kind of things he wants to see videos done on, what kind of topics he's interested in. So I really appreciate that. Robertino, Jesse Lopez, also thank you very much for your contribution and becoming a producer. And for everyone else that has contributed or become an associate producer or executive producer of the show, I appreciate all of your help, So, and you have made it possible for me to make this a viable goal for the future. And for those of you that also contribute during the live broadcasts on YouTube, I appreciate that as well. And you are all helping make a dream come true for me. And you're also helping me help as many people as possible, because the longer I can do this, the longer I can keep it going, before the vegans shut me down, the more people I can help. All right. I don't think the vegans are going to shut me down. Remember, I'm not a motherfucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. Have a nice fucking day. Shit. Also, if you could do me a favor, and there's like a like button and shit down there, click that, because that gives YouTube a boner for my videos. And if you're not a subscriber, that's helpful too. If you just subscribe, that makes YouTube happy and gives them a boner for my videos. Basically, I want YouTube to have a boner for my videos so that I can make more fucking videos. You guys watching regularly does help me do this full time as well. So don't just feel you have to go to Patreon to help. Just watching, liking, subscribing, preferably not using ad blocker. And that also helps me keep going. Love y'all. Even you vegans that hate me, I still love you too. Even when you call me a fucking dumbass, I still want to give you hugs and shit. Have a nice motherfucking day. Shit.